Have you ever been on a date? Things are going well, you're hitting it off, and all of a sudden you are turned off or repulsed by something your date did or said? That's called the ick, and if it's ever happened to you, listen up because I'm going to talk about why it happens and what to do about it. Welcome back to Dating Intentionally. I'm Talia. I'm a dating coach, and I'm sharing no nonsense advice for navigating modern dating with confidence and ease, whether you've been on dozens of dates or you're just getting started. I believe dating can be fun, and sometimes it can be disappointing when the ick shows up randomly, like an annoying neighbor you keep running into or accidentally picking up a spam call. This short episode is a preview of the full one, which you can get access to on Patreon. Over on Dating Intentionally on Patreon, you can get all my solo episodes, extended guest interviews, direct access to me for dating advice, and more. You can become a member today by heading over to patreon.com/DI podcast or just Google Dating Intentionally Patreon and you'll find it. Let's get into it. Okay, let's talk about the ick. What is it? Have you heard of it before? As I describe this, I would love to hear if you've experienced this before and what happened. You can DM me on Instagram at dating.intentionally. So, what is the ick? The ick is when you experience something that's kind of a cringe moment, right? It's something that will turn you off. In fact, I think the ick is just another way of saying a turnoff. It's usually a mannerism or sometimes a personality trait, and it can make someone who is really attractive to you unattractive in a matter of seconds. And depending on what that ick is, it can be hard to come back from. Sometimes the ick is really specific, and I think sometimes it's not. Sometimes the ick can be like a general vibe, like you're just kind of turned off by someone. If you really don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to share some examples. I asked for you to send me your icks on Instagram, and I got so many responses. So I made 3 categories of icks. The 3 categories are surface level, bad date behavior, and icks that run deep. Because some icks aren't surface level, they run deeper, and you'll hear what I mean. Let's start with the surface level ones. These are fun. I got a lot, and I'm really just sharing some of the common and most extreme ones. As you listen to this, just keep in mind that they're mostly coming from women who date men. And from what I've learned from talking to men who date women and listening to lots of dating podcasts, men don't seem to get the ick as much as women do. In general, men tend to be more accepting, and we love that. So here are some examples of surface level icks. Long fingernails on guys. I agree. This can be very icky, but I also think it's something you could point out and a guy could just trim his nails. It doesn't have to be some big, scary conversation. Poor grammar. Now, this is a common one, and I think when people say poor grammar, they mostly mean via text, but I think also obviously when speaking. Now, there's actually psychology behind poor grammar as an ick. When people, use abbreviations or the letter U instead of spelling out the word you, things like that, or if they have spelling errors or punctuation errors. This is a widely known turnoff by lots of people, especially for women. So, men, if you're listening to this, make sure there are no spelling errors on your dating profile and make sure you're spelling words out fully and not using abbreviation. Some people take poor grammar in text as they are not educated, right? Or they're not seriously dating. And maybe you're one of these people, maybe you're not. Just keep that in mind. If you are trying to date seriously, you will be taken more seriously if you spell things out and use the proper punctuation and grammar. All right, another one that came up was bad choices of restaurants. That can give someone the ick. Okay, if this is your ick, I just want to point out this is something you can easily get past by being the one to choose restaurants or maybe occasionally just eating at a chain, right? This person specified chain restaurants. Sometimes eating at a chain restaurant is fun. I mean, to me, I guess you do you. But I think the ick of bad choices of restaurants, it's one you can get around. Grown men baby talking. I get this. This would give me the ick too early on. Unironically wearing an American flag. This one I get too, but again, in the long run, not a big deal. Licking yogurt foil. I can't imagine this one coming up many times. Like, how often is your partner eating yogurt in your presence? Are they doing this every day? Are you there when they're doing it? Like, do you see this one time and you're turned off forever? I have so many questions. Anytime a guy refers to himself as an alpha, this would definitely make me roll my eyes too. Their favorite director is Wes Anderson. It's hard. I mean, like, I get it. If that's your ick, fine. But the idea of like someone getting the ick based on someone's favorite director is so specific. And some of these are really specific, right? These are the surface level ones. And as I'm reading this list, I'm sure maybe these are jogging your memory of some icks that you've had in the past. And if you had any, you can DM them to me on Instagram. So another one is someone having the same name as my yucky uncle. Okay, yes, I understand. If someone has the same name as someone in your life who you don't like, or you have bad memories associated with them, I could see how that would give you the ick. There were two that said men wearing leather jackets. I don't get it, but okay. Attention seeking behavior. This one might be more of a values thing, but I understand this ick. People who are clearly just acting out to get attention, I get it. For men, seeing their nipples through their shirt. See, the icks are getting a little out of control, but okay, we'll keep going. If they call the restroom the facilities, like, oh, I gotta go use the facilities. Oof. Okay. A guy using a long shoehorn like a grandpa. Again, this is one thing. It's like, how often do you see this happening? Are you there every time they put their shoes on? Like, if you saw this once, would you be turned off forever? I just have a lot of questions. Thong sandals on men. So many of these are wardrobe related, specifically shoe related. Intermittent fasting. Okay. They're attractive, but they have a weird voice. They said actually a lot. Guys who are scared to kill a bug or spider. Yelling at sporting events. Short legs. Guys who play golf. I mean, that's just like the golf thing is like you just have a type and you don't want someone who plays golf. I mean, fine. A guy wanting to be the little spoon. Really? And floppy socks. That means like when your socks don't fully fit your feet. And talking through a yawn. And if you just yawned right now, I'm sorry because we're talking about yawning. Okay, these are all surface level icks. I'm sure you can see the common thread here. They're kind of random, they're super specific, and they're very individualistic. Like something like calling the restroom the facilities reminds you of someone in your life who also did that, who you don't like, right? It's like they jog a memory of some other time in your life where you were turned off or repulsed or embarrassed or felt disgust. All of these things. That's the core, that's the root of the ick. I'd love to hear from you on Instagram. You can DM me at dating.intentionally. What do you think of the ick? Do you have any, surface level icks that you can't seem to get over? You're welcome to slide into my DMs anytime. And if you want to hear more about the other two types of icks, how to know if you're being picky or if they're legit, and how to get past the ick, you can head over to Patreon for the full episode. You can join today by going to patreon.com/DI podcast or just Google Dating Intentionally Patreon and you'll find it. In the full episode, I also talk about how I handled getting the ick in my current relationship. I've mentioned this a few times, but now that I'm sharing solo episodes, just for Patreon members, I can get more into detail about this stuff, so I'm sharing way more. I hope you enjoyed this preview. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you on Patreon, and I'll also be back on Friday with a new guest episode.